These strikes have struck rail workers, driving examiners, people working at the Rural Payments Agency. Today also, NHS physios voted to strike. In Wales, it's midwives too. Later this week, Royal Mail staff, nurses, bus drivers, highways officers and airport baggage handlers will join the list. Industrial disputes are concentrated heavily in the public sector, where pay rises average just 2.7% in the 3 months to October, compared to 6.7% in the private sector. 100,000 members of the Public and Commercial Services Union, who represent civil servants, are also taking action. Members of the PCS union are on an average wage of £23,000 a year. They work in the Department for Work and Pensions, administering universal credit. They assess asylum claims in the Home Office. They are court clerks and bailiffs, cleaners and security staff at Downing Street. The head of the PCS union in England, Wales and Scotland is Mark Serwotka. Hello, Mr. Serwotka. Thank you very much for talking to us. When you see criminal barristers in England and Wales accepting a 15% pay rise, or refuse workers in Eastbourne negotiating a deal worth over 11%, and your members had a 2% pay rise earlier this year, what do you think?
Well, good evening, Victoria. Well, I say that I'm really pleased that barristers and bin workers are getting a pay rise that means they're not getting a real cut in their living standards. And it makes me very angry that the government, who lauded our members, who praised us for delivering the furlough scheme, 3 million claims to universal credit, keeping our courts and prisons, motorways running, they lauded us in the pandemic, but they're now asking their own workforce to take the lowest pay rise anywhere in the economy. It makes me angry, but more importantly, the 100,000 people I'm representing voted by a record number, 86% for a strike. It says that they're angry and the government really need to do something about it, and quickly.
But the government say they simply cannot afford it.
Yes, and I think most economists who look at those claims, including leading writers in the FT only yesterday, say that claim is a nonsense. It's about the government making it a political priority. I mean, only a few short months ago, this same Conservative Party in office were prepared to borrow hundreds of billions to fund tax cuts for the richest. They clearly could find the money for paramedics and nurses and railway workers and civil servants if they thought it was a priority. Sadly,
but you're not suggesting they borrow money to fund pay rises, are you? Because we know what happened back in September.
Well, what I'm saying is, in the fifth richest economy in the world, finding the money to ensure that nurses don't get a cut in their living standards, or civil servants don't use food banks or have to claim in-work benefits could very easily be done. And the government knows this.
Is it true, sorry to interrupt, is it true that some of your members who work in the Department for Work and Pensions, administering universal credit, are themselves on universal credit?
Yes, sadly, that is true. And not only them, but 40,000 of our members are using food banks and 45,000 are claiming in-work benefits. Therefore, they are the working poor. And the reality of that situation is because their pay is not only unacceptably low, but they're now being told, after 10 years of real terms pay cuts, to take 2%, when inflation isn't just 11.1%. For the poorest people, it's estimated to be as high as 16%. And the government know that's untenable. And Victoria, could I just say to you, we gave the government a dossier, a 170-page dossier of comments from their own staff in the Department of Work and Pensions. The minister I met told me he was moved by what he read. People skipping meals, people not being able to feed themselves, worried about putting shoes on their kids' feet when they went to school. Yet his answer is to tell us he will not find a single penny to avert a strike. He therefore seems content that his own workforce are living in poverty.
Some people would push back on that and say an average salary of £23,000 a year is not poverty. You are coordinating your action with other unions. For example, your members who work on the highways, i.e. traffic officers on motorways. 6 out of the 10 days you've selected for their action, you've picked to coordinate with the RMT. Obviously, that is to create more impact. It will disrupt many more people. But I wonder if it doesn't make the government more determined to stick to its position.
Well, the government at the moment, I think, are playing a very strange game. They seem to be at home, but they haven't turned the lights on. You know, they've got this door that's open, but nothing is behind it. What they're seeing at the moment is an unprecedented wave of strikes, over 30 unions, everyone from paramedics and nurses through, we now know, to other health workers, people in the civil service, lecturers, postal workers, train workers. Surely all these millions of people can't be wrong. They're saying to the government that when things are as tough as they currently are, the idea that you're asking us to go to work and be poorer at the end of the year than we were at the start of the year, no matter how hard we work and no matter what services we deliver, is a scandal. And I think, therefore, it must be right that because all of us are effectively in dispute with the government, that we should coordinate our efforts to make them as effective as possible to force the government to get round the negotiating table.
Thank you for talking to us this evening. Thank you, Mark Serwotka, who is the head of the PCS union. Elon Musk is no longer the world's richest man. Analysts tonight announced the falling market value of his electric car company Tesla has seen his fortune plummet.